Hi guys, it's Elena with 101.9 Interstate Live Radio. Let me tell you about a new podcast that's out there. Mike Line is a podcast produced by Hype Beats Radio that delivers in-depth conversations with your favorite music artists and influencers every Tuesday. We dig into their origin stories, learn about their inspiration, and ask the challenging questions you want answered about their lives in music. Make sure you check out Mike/Line. It's your girl, Elena Sanders, 101.9 Interstate Live Radio.
Subscribe to us as you leave a positive review on iTunes.
Listen to this station on your smartphone. Download the app now on Google Play Store.
Broadcasting live.
You're tuned in to 101.9 Interstate Live Radio, giving you the news you can use while you cruise. Down the interstate, down the interstate, down the interstate, down the interstate.
Your number one hit station in town.
Let's count down together.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You are tuned in to 101.9 Interstate Live Radio. My name is Will Walker, and oh my God, do I have a treat for you today. We are interviewing Mr. John Robinson on the new release of his book entitled Chicken Scratch. Many readers, many readers have been inspired by this man's writing, and this is going to be a compelling interview just to speak to you all about his point of view and revealing the false, even in himself. Speaking about the cultural differences from a black man's perspective growing up in the South. Thank you so much for taking time out to speak with us today, Mr. Robinson. Are you there?
Yes, it is indeed a pleasure to be here and to be your host on your station this morning.
Oh, Mr. Robinson, I don't even know where to begin. Why don't you tell us what the real premise is, if people just wanted to take a snippet away from what this book actually is? Can you just tell us what the premise is of this book from your point of view?
Yes, it's about the struggles of life, what it is to be a black man here in America, coming up through the cultural differences, being in a position where you started with nothing and you had to struggle from that aspect and point of view. I was born in Valdosta, Georgia, in a little place called Cherry Creek, and I experienced quite a bit of a deal of racism, dealing with the cultural background that we face here in this country.
Wow. So what will people, let's say from a young person's perspective, and I'm not so young, I'm in my early 40s, from a younger person's perspective that only kind of like got the tail end of it, what is it that we can learn from this book?
Well, to understand the background from which we came, where we are today and where we plan on and looking forward to arrive, as a young person that growing up in the South, it was a struggle for us from day one. But to be a person of today's time, not understanding the culture because it's not taught in schools, it's not taught really taught in the churches, they seem to be missing out on the real gravity of understanding from which they came and where they are today. It's about education, about motivation, and self-endurance, because I want them to understand that they are the greatest asset.
Wow. So tell the listeners, like, I know that you're from Valdosta, Georgia, and you were born in a different time where racism was very, very, very prevalent. From your experience, from you growing up in Valdosta, Georgia, where, racism was not like, they weren't hiding it back then. They were just like, listen, colors this way, white people this way. That's just the way it is. Whereas now it's hidden in systemic racism, where it's like, okay, you know what? We can't tell the colors to go sit down in a certain section, but what we can do is we can stop you from getting loans. We can stop you from experiencing life the way you want to. We can make it harder for you to live in these neighborhoods so that you can't go to these schools and separate your kids from our kids, so to speak. So from your point of view, how have you seen that evolve? Like as I guess as a backdrop for you writing the book and from your own perspective, but how have you seen that evolve from direct racism that was just right in your face to racism that was just kind of like in an undertone?
Well, what we have to face today is you don't hear anyone speak about this, but it's called integrated segregation. Okay? Mm-hmm. And integrated segregation is where you live in a mixed community, but you are yet screened not because of your race and your culture. And then it brings in the redlining, where if you're from a certain area, you can't get a loan from a bank because you're a small business and you come from one side of this city or town, you can't seem to get the type of loan that you need to succeed in business. It's integrated segregation is what we face today. Wow.
And you know, I have been reading a lot about integrated segregation. I don't think younger people understand that. And if anyone doesn't know what redlining is, you definitely should look it up. But the short and long of it is basically redlining was when they decided that certain neighborhoods that had a certain type of people with a certain income and a certain nationality could not buy homes in those areas, which actually cut off black families. Like, let's say if you were in Valdosta, Georgia, for example, if you were in Valdosta, Georgia, and you were in a neighborhood that was on a certain side and a certain zip code, the banks would not lend in those neighborhoods. So therefore, no one over there could establish home ownership, which starts the line of poverty. So everyone that is reading, this is an amazing kickoff to what that is. People need to do more, introspect about who they are. Now, tell us more about you. Now, when we spoke earlier, you told me that you were a preacher.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am a minister.
Okay.
And I'm an associate pastor at the First Antioch Missionary Baptist Church here in Valdosta. And I'm a community activist. Okay? Let me just back up just a little. I was involved in a civil litigation that lasted 12 years. I sued a gentleman by the name of George P. Coffin, one of the most powerful men in the country. His wife was the first lady of the opera out of Denver, Colorado.
Wow.
And they owned oil companies, and they were tycoons of business. Down in South Florida, they had a citrus company that produced concentrated orange juice. And I was superintendent of a feed mill, which created a byproduct for cattle. And I got replaced by a wife, which didn't have any experience, had never been inside of a mill or a plant in his life. And I was replaced, but I had like 18 men working for me at the time. I could do the work, but I couldn't get the pay. But when they brought him in, they automatically put him on salary. And I had the same juries that Manuel Noriega had. Matter of fact, Manuel Noriega was in the basement doing the trial. I had Mr. Willie Gary from South Florida to file the EEOC complaint. Then I got the federal jury. That's the federal jury now by the name of Moses Baker in the district of Palm Beach County. He was my attorney. And I had Jack Scarola of Danny and Skersey with a power package for the monies to match this guy dollar for dollar. I also had famous Dr. Marvin Dunn of the University of Miami to be our psychologist, and a gentleman of the United States military statistical analysis expert was the one that did a part of the disparity study for our discrimination. It was a high-profile case. We won the case, and it set precedents as far as people working in the citrus industry. Life was a struggle, no doubt about it. And it seems as if when you are black in America, seem to be marked. And that mark is the mark of failure. But that's not so, because we are our greatest asset. And God has been with us every step of the way. I don't want to get too long-winded here, but when we first came out of slavery, we didn't have anything. No places to go, no places to lay our heads. People had to wonder about and sleep under trees and take limbs and leaves and make shelter because they would just turn off the plantation. We come from that era, from nothing. Instead of giving us, when it came down to food, first year, we didn't have no way of getting meals. Second year, we worked for food. Third year, we worked for shelter. And it went along like that until it got down to sharecropping and all of this. So when we look at where we came from, it's amazing that we survived it. I know that the Holocaust was bad, but you think about 200 years of slavery right here in the United States and the terrible things that happened to black folks along the way. It's amazing that we are here today. And yet, got a forgiving heart. Yet, we'll not cater to one another and build our own wealth, which we need to be doing. But that's a whole other story when it comes to that. But in the book Chicken Scratch, he talks about my life as a child. I'm growing up in the South. I lived in Benton Harbor, Michigan for a few years. And out in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and then down in Florida. And the book is defining the problems that we had. And I came from a battered family where my stepfather was abusive. And we went through quite a bit of changes, and I ended up turning to the street. And a gentleman by the name of David Mullins had a pioneer school that was funded by the government for young men that couldn't fit in. Was called the misfits of society. That just didn't fit in because we was involved in little criminal activities. I went the wrong way. I ended up with a 5-year jail sentence, and Mr. Mullins at the age of 14, and Mr. Mullins came into the jail and got me out, and a friend of mine named Eddie Amos, who the sheriff department ended up killing, which is an unsolved crime to this day. But anyway, Mr. Mullins got us out, and he set me free, and I ended up coming down to South Florida. And my life picked up from there, and he's classified as a hero in my life. The book Chicken Scratch talks about that, how to rise out of criminal activity, get my head straight. I was introduced to a gentleman by the name of Bud Wright down in South Florida. And he was a sharecropper at one time, and I talk about his life and what he went through as a black man coming up in the roaring 20s, 30s, 40s, all the way up to the 80s. So the book is very, very educational. It talks about my life, of the fact that I got diagnosed with terminal cancer. Yet I got a positive attitude and a positive mind. I believe in progression and education.
Wow, it's a true testament to what leaving a legacy behind, and leaving something behind for your children, leaving something behind for kids that are going to grow up and don't understand the stories firsthand of how these things went down. Mr. Robinson has alluded to something that I definitely want to touch on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break right here, and we're going to come back in a few minutes after we pay a few bills. But I want to talk to Mr. Robinson about his terminal assignment of cancer that was given to him, and what that means to him, and does that drive him, and what state of mind that puts him in to be able to deliver information that a lot of people just are scared to talk about. We're going to be right back after this message. Give us a second.
We're available on all app stores. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
We are the W.N. Walker Agency. Whether you're looking to purchase an investment property for the first time or just looking to add on to a large portfolio, we can help. We secure private money funding from sources for investors all over the United States. Our programs are very flexible and provide you access to funding with minimum credit requirements. Whether you're looking for commercial or residential, refinance, or even a direct purchase, we can make it happen for you. Reach out to us online at www.wnwalker.com or call us directly or even text at 212-390-1198. We look forward to servicing you and getting you the loan to fund your dreams.
Let me tell you about an exciting event, a motivational event, an event that's going to get you where you need to be, especially as fitness and dance professionals. The Move Convention, hosted in New Orleans 2019, August 2nd through the 4th, the first ever fitness convention that's going to be held in Louisiana. For those who don't know about Louisiana, Louisiana is in the top 5 of obesity in the United States of America. Partnering with the New Orleans Convention Bureau, this convention is going to be top notch, where you're going to have fitness education for fitness professionals, as well as fitness, nutrition, and wellness education for the public. Dance professionals can come and get information, get your career education units, your career education credits, all at the Move Convention, hosted at the wonderful, historic Astor Hotel that's located on Canal and Bourbon Street in the French Quarters of New Orleans. So you don't want to miss that. Go to MoveStayFit.com. That's MoveStayFit.com. Register, check out the presenters, and many more are being added. The Move Convention, MoveStayFit.com, in New Orleans, August 2nd through the 4th. Hey guys, I just want to let you know a few things. I am excited that Interstate Live is on over 10 networks. Not only do we broadcast live on radio stations, but we are also on all of the podcasts, your favorite podcast apps you may have, like Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, many other Pocket Podcasts, Overcast, Castbox, Radio Public, Stitcher, and the list goes on and on. So you have no choice not to listen to us. If you're not listening to us live, you can also go back and hear all of our shows. So like I said, Interstate Live is the news you can use while you cruise. So you could be cruising down the interstate, listening to your favorite podcast in your car. And guess what? You just type in Interstate Live in the search, and all of our information will be there on any of your favorite podcasts. But guess what? I definitely want you to download the Anchor app. And let me tell you why I want you to download the Anchor app. Because if you're not listening to us live and you can't call in, but you have something to say that you really, really got to get out, you can click on voice message on the Anchor app. Once you find Interstate Live Radio, you can click on the voice message, leave us a message about anything that you've heard on the show. And guess what? Your voice message may be played live over the air. So make sure you leave it. Make sure you speak clearly. Tell us all the information. Tell us your thoughts. And we will put your voice on the air. So remember to download the Anchor app. Hit voice message and leave Interstate Live a message. All right.
You are back on 101.9 Interstate Live Radio. My name is Will Walker. Today, just in case you're just now tuning in, you are tuned in with Mr. John Robinson, and we're talking about the release of his brand new book, a very, very compelling story about his life firsthand growing up as a black man in the South. And the book is entitled Chicken Scratch. Mr. Robinson, thank you so much for taking time out again to talk to us about that. Now, before we went to break, we talked about how you were diagnosed with terminal cancer and how that has maybe impacted you in some way to say, yeah, I definitely got to get this book out. I have to leave this information behind. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, most definitely. When you get diagnosed with terminal cancer, it's the same as being put on death row. and you don't know when the time is going to come about. You don't. What I face is that they told me that the cancer has spread all over my body. I'm in remission at this time, and that it's laying dormant, it's asleep, but it can wake. It can awaken at any time. So to keep me on the razor's edge of life. At one time, I saw a butterfly as just a common butterfly, but now I see a butterfly as a beautiful living creature. I'm also an artist, and an amateur artist. I do paintings and drawings, so I paint different scenes at different times, and I try to put some feelings into my artwork. And but to be diagnosed with terminal cancer is, it almost goes without saying, it's a scary frontier, but you have to face the facts that we don't leave here. We can't. Every man born of a woman surely shall die. No question on that. So I don't thrive on the death part of it. I thrive on the living part of it. And I have a positive attitude. God has been good to me. I have both sons. My oldest son, regardless of the struggle of coming from a migrant family, standing where I stand now, I'm able to look. My oldest son have a degree, a master's degree in psychology. Next to the oldest son, he have a business called Pave Fabrication, and he's doing fantastic with it. The other one went to Savannah School of Art and Design, SCAD, and we got a company called Tribe, and we got a multi-million dollar development that we're trying to get out of the ground now. My youngest son went to Georgia Polytech, and he in Atlanta, and he have a business called Strive, STRIVE, that we just launched. So when I look at the positive thing of the outcome, from starting from nothing, and then on the top end, be diagnosed with terminal cancer. I was diagnosed March the 10th, 2008, and that's been 11 years ago. And I'm still here. They gave me 2 to 6 months to live, had me to see hospice. Something set me back from the 4th to the 3rd stage. They had surgery performed on me, and they took out my stomach and pancreas. I don't have a stomach, no pancreas. They took a small intestine and made me a small 12-ounce pouch, 8-ounce pouch to me. And I had one setback with it. It closed off, and they had to open me back up and put a stent in, and that's been 5 years ago. So I've been struggling with it and surviving it, but keeping a positive attitude and a positive mind. Because you can overcome the obstacles of life, including cancer. But I don't look down on life. I see it as a positive point of view. It made me more positive than negative. I'm here to say that God has blessed me in so many different ways, and I'm glad to be here. So standing on death row is a challenge.
Wow. It's very rare that you speak to people that it's very rare that I have spoken to people that have such a positive outlook, and it definitely, this interview is one that I am so glad that I was able to facilitate, and I'm so glad that you took the time to come on our station of all stations to talk about your story. Mr. Robinson, I'm without words. One question came to mind as we were speaking earlier about how you grew up, and we were talking about segregation and all that. There are a lot of millennials that are fighting the cause now about fighting the black cause, fighting stereotypes, police violence, etc., things like that.
That's right.
A lot of people are saying, a lot of the new millennials that are fighting the cause are saying that they feel like segregation was a mistake. I mean, integration was a mistake. They feel like integration was a big mistake, citing the fact that we were doing better before we decided to merge in with white kids. What do you think about that?
Well, let's go back in time, okay? Let's
Exactly.
All right. That was actually bombed by the American government. Okay. With Union fighter planes or whatever planes they had at that time that bombed the Black Wall Street. When we look at Rosewood, towns that Edisonville down in Orlando, Florida, we had the Renaissance, the Reformation period, and from 1897 to 1923, it was literally wiped out. Okay? And we started back again from zero. You think about the times when, I'm trying to get down to answer your question, the times when we were doing for ourselves and catering to one another, yes, we were faring better. No question about it. I believe that to be an American is different than being a Black American. Okay?
Okay.
See, when you're an American, you don't face the discriminatory policies and practices. But when you're a Black African American, you face all these pockets of discrimination and all of the zeros that comes in life. You face those pockets. So I think we were better off when we was catering to ourselves. We don't, as ministers, don't preach the gospel what it is to unify and go downtown and buy buildings downtown. Go into the college areas and buy houses. We don't do that. But we can come together and raise $3 or $4 million and build a mega church, but we won't go out and build a shopping plaza. So, see, yes, I believe we was better off. It didn't answer the question. Because America had a level playing field, segregation and integration wouldn't have been that bad. But you're living, that's why I made the term that we're living in integrated segregation. Nothing have really changed. I mean, when you look at it, because you were screened out of the group. Our communities, you go to Jacksonville, Florida, you're going to find the ghetto. Go to Chicago, Illinois, you're going to find the ghetto. You go to New Orleans, you're going to find the ghetto. You go to Baton Rouge, you're going to find the ghetto. Every place you go in this continental United States, we are deprived. Our communities are run down because of the lack of funding. But you can always see the difference between the south, north, and the east side where progression is made. And if you can't see it, you must be blind. Something has to be wrong. But we need to learn to cater to one another. In other words, keep the dollar in the neighborhood. Feed our own. If we have a problem, quit shopping so much at Walmart. Mr. Walmart himself will go down and say, I miss the fund that's provided by the Black community, and he'll go down to the city hall and stand before the city council and say something is wrong. You know, target big major corporations and quit catering to them, and they'll stand up. Because when it gets to a certain level, believe it or not, the color is green. It's not black or white.
Right. That is insightful, and it gives us a lot of insight to probably the writing style of your book. This is going to be so deep. Actually, I think I'm going to write the book. I mean, not write the book. I think I'm going to read the book myself. Now, the book, just in case anyone is wondering, the book is going to be available on Mr. Robinson's website at johnschickenscratch.com. It's also available in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and even in Walmart. So anyone that wants to know where you can get this book, If you would like to book him for an engagement or to speak with him, go to bookrrobinson@gmail.com, or go to his website at johnschickenscratch.com to get more information about the book. It has been such a pleasure to speak with Mr. Robinson today. And if he can give us one thing, Mr. Robinson, if you could just give us one thing that we can take away from this as a soundbite from what we should learn from this entire experience, from not only the book, but from your amazing life, give us one takeaway that we definitely need to know that is the one thing that you got to express, if nothing else.
Listen, believe in yourself and in God, and always know and realize that you are your greatest asset.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robinson. Again, everyone, if you are looking for Mr. Robinson's book, please go to johnschickenscratch.com. All the information will be there, or booking information at bookjrobinson@gmail.com. Mr. Robinson, I know you old school now, but do you got social media?
Yes, sir.
All right. Where can they find you on social media?
Just look it up.
Okay. We will pull it up and we will actually put it on the website, as well as the bio and information about the book. Guys, go and read this book. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to get this book myself. Mr. Robinson, I'm going to order this book and read this book myself. When I look at your picture on the cover of the book, I could literally send you a picture of my dad, and you look like my dad on the cover of this picture.
Oh, man. All right.
And it gives me so much insight into where I came from. And I'm so glad that you took time out to speak to us today. Again, you have been on the air with Will Walker, our live interview with Mr. John Robinson about the book Chicken Scratch. Don't miss it. Thank you so much for tuning in. There's going to be so much more. And maybe if this man takes out a little bit more time for us at another time, we'll be able to come back and speak to him again and get a lot more insights from this preacher, entrepreneur, writer, and survivor of cancer, and a man that really has a story. Thanks so much for tuning in. We love you. See you later.
You're tuned in to 101.9 Interstate Live Radio, giving you the news you can use while you cruise. Down the interstate, down the interstate, down the interstate, down the interstate.